My husband cheated with my sister. I divorced him and cut off my toxic family. Years later, they begged for my help. My name is Harper. I am 32, live in a city that smells like rain and coffee. And for a long time, I believed I could hold a family together through effort alone. I was that person who remembers birthdays, sends thank you cards, and organizes the text thread no one else replies to. If you asked me then what I was most proud of, I would have said my marriage to Cole and my relationship with my little sister, Brielle. I thought we were close. I thought I was safe. I thought a lot of things. Let me set the stage. Cole and I had been married 6 years. We met at a trivia night where he knew every answer about music and none about geography. He laughed at my terrible puns. I liked the way he listened with his whole face. We moved fast. Ring, apartment, Sunday trips to the farmer's market. I kept a list of recipes he loved on the fridge. We fought like normal people and made up like people who were sure of tomorrow. Brielle is 4 years younger than me. She has always been the golden child in our family. Our mother, Marlene, treated her like a delicate vase, and our father, Victor, nodded along to whatever Mom wanted. Growing up, I got the reliable things. A used car that smelled like crayons. Cheap sneakers that squeaked on the gym floor. Practical praise. Brielle got glitter. Dance classes that cost a small fortune. A bedroom makeover for no reason. When I missed curfew by 15 minutes at 17, my keys vanished for a month. When Brielle came home 2 hours late and perfumed like a concert, she got a hug and a reminder to be safe. I do not say any of this to make you pity me. I say it so you understand why what happened next slid so easily through the cracks my family trained me into. 8 months before everything fell apart, Brielle moved back to town. After a few years in Florida with a boyfriend who photographed luxury pools for a living, she came home with a suitcase and a story about heartbreak that kept changing depending on who she told it to. My parents took her in. I wanted to help. Cole works in operations at a large design firm, and I asked whether he had room for a bright, chatty assistant. He did. He pulled some strings. Brielle got the job. At first, it felt nice having her close. She would drop by after work. We would cook. We would watch shows and giggle at the same dumb plot twists. She told me she wanted to make up for lost time. She called me her best friend. My shoulders finally loosened around her. Then I noticed that she and Cole were getting very comfortable with each other. They talked fast and long about 1,000 things, most of them labeled work stuff when I asked. They had inside jokes I did not get. They started staying late at the office for reasons that sounded important when they said them together. Cole has a 9 to 5. I work from 10 to 7 at a gallery. More than once, I came home to find Brielle already on our couch with a glass of wine and Cole laughing in the kitchen. They said they were brainstorming a project. I told myself I was being paranoid. I told myself to be cool. One night, I made the bed before leaving for work. I am picky about pillowcases. The open ends face the outside. It is a silly habit. It calms me. That evening, we ate dinner with Brielle, and she left early to drive to my parents' place. Cole and I got ready for bed. 2 of the pillowcases were flipped the wrong way. It seems like nothing. It felt like a siren. I asked if he had napped. He said no. He looked the way people look when they are reading lines off a cue card inside their brain. I checked his phone the next day, my hands shaking. Nothing. I checked his email. Nothing. Then I remembered that they shared an office for 8 hours a day. Why text when you can lean across a desk? I felt crazy. Like I was making a fire out of smoke I could not even see. So I did what people do when they are afraid of the truth. I kept going. 2 weeks later, my parents hosted a family dinner. Brielle brushed past Cole in the hallway, caught his forearm, and whispered something in his ear. Their foreheads touched for a heartbeat. He darted away like a kid near a hot stove. She looked at me and smiled as if I were in on a joke I did not understand. I wanted to lift the table and throw it through a window. Instead, I chewed salad and said nothing. I planned a weekend away for Cole and me. A hotel with a view. A reservation at a restaurant he liked. I told myself the timing was perfect to reset. Saturday morning, after we had been close and tender and sleepy, I finally asked the question that had been burning a hole in my tongue. Are you having an affair with my sister? He stared at the wall and then the floor and then me. He said yes. He cried. He said it started slow. He said he did not mean for it to happen. He said a lot of apologies that sounded like receipts. I asked whether they had been in our bed while I was at work. He flinched, which is an answer even when it is not words. I put on yesterday's jeans, picked up my purse, and drove 3 hours home in silence while the city blurred. I told my parents the next day. My mother said she was sorry I felt that way. My father folded his arms and agreed with her because that is what he does. Brielle had already packed a bag and vanished. Cole moved into a short-term rental near the office. He kept texting me paragraphs with words like mistake and soul and future. I stopped reading. I hired a lawyer. The divorce moved fast because the evidence was clean, and the court does not love hearing that a husband and a sister turned a marriage into a hallway. Cole offered me the house on day 1 and rescinded it on day 3. I am sure Brielle was in his ear. We split it. I opened a new account and transferred what was mine. I blocked them both. Brielle posted a picture a week later and tagged me by accident or on purpose. She stood in a sunflower field, head tipped back, Cole kissing her cheek, captioned, "Feeling loved." I deleted the entire app that minute and blocked her number. My mother called to say that Brielle deserved to be happy too, and that I would meet someone someday, and then we could all get back to normal. Normal. I went no contact with all of them the next morning. I boxed up my kitchen, sold the house, and moved to a different state. I told no one where I was going. I turned the page and did not look back. Now, for anyone who has lived a story like this, you already know that leaving is not the end. It is the middle. I arrived in Minneapolis in February with a suitcase, the address of a month-to-month studio, and a list of restaurants I wanted to try once my appetite came back. I found a therapist. I went twice a week at first. We sat in a small room that smelled like peppermint tea and told the truth until I was exhausted. I learned that loyalty is not sainthood when it asks you to bury yourself. I learned that you can love a family and still build a door that only opens from your side. I worked, I cooked simple food, and I slept again. 9 months after I left, my mailbox held an invitation to Brielle and Cole's wedding. The envelope also included a letter from my parents urging me to forgive and to stand up as a bridesmaid, the way she had for me. I laughed for the first time in months. It was not polite laughter. It was the kind that knocks the air out of you. I threw the invitation away and called a cousin to find out who had shared my address. I cut them off too. There is a love story in here, and it is short and warm. I met Daniel at a cooking class my upstairs neighbor dragged me to on a Saturday. He runs a neighborhood bar and can dice an onion without looking. We were friends first. Then we were more. He is calm and steady and has never used the word soulmate out loud because he prefers to show it. There is no drama with him. We talk. We go to the farmer's market. He stands at the sink and washes dishes while I tell him about my day. He is boring in the ways that matter and surprising in the ways that keep life bright. His parents treat me like a daughter. There is always a chair for me at their table. A year later, Cole found me. I do not know how. He knocked on my apartment door wearing a shirt he could never afford when we were married. He said he wanted closure. He said he was divorcing Brielle. She had been cheating the entire time. What a shock. He said he was sorry and that we should talk. I looked him in the eyes and said no. I told him he could keep his closure. I told him he made a bed and should sleep in it. I closed the door and called my landlady, who called her nephews, who politely escorted him out of the building and let him know the police would come next time. The next evening, he tried to corner me at Daniel's bar. Daniel walked over, asked if I wanted him to throw Cole out. I said, give me a second. I asked Cole what happened. He bragged that he had hidden money, so Brielle did not get half. He said she was back living with my parents. I nodded, thanked him for the update, and said he could leave now. Daniel walked him to the door. The bartender and 2 servers glared the whole way. I thought that was the end. It was not. 4 years passed. My life got big again. I began managing the books for Daniel and his twin brother after their bar opened a second location. We had a son, and then a daughter. We ate dinner with his family every Sunday. My parents tried to reach out a few times with new email addresses and sad emojis. I ignored them. Then the messages multiplied. My mother wrote that she missed her grandkids. My father wrote that the family should not stay broken forever. Brielle wrote that she needed to talk to me. I felt a cold wind blow through a door I had bolted. I set up a video call to end the noise once and for all. When the call connected, I almost did not recognize them. My parents looked smaller, thinner, and older in a way that made me feel nothing. Brielle looked tired. She was not wearing the gold necklace she always used to stroke when she lied. I waited. My mother began a speech full of words like forgiveness and together and healing. My father nodded. Brielle stared into the camera like she could pull me through it if she concentrated. I asked them whether there was something else they were not saying. The mask dropped. Brielle's kidneys were failing. She needed a transplant. Family is most likely to match. Could I get tested? Could I come home? Could I save her life? My mother cried. My father cleared his throat and added that the medical bills were heavy and the house was in trouble, and maybe we could help with that, too. In other words, they needed my body and my money. Brielle said please. She said she did not want to die. She said she wished she could have her sister back. I told them I would get tested in Minneapolis and let them know the result. I booked my appointment the next morning. A week later, the results arrived. I was a perfect match. The irony made me laugh in a quiet way that scared me. I bought a ticket and flew to St. Charles, not to give them what they wanted, but to say what I needed to say in person, where no one could pretend not to hear me. The hospital smelled like lemon cleaner and worry. They had stabilized Brielle. She lay in a gown with a hospital bracelet and a face that still looked like my sister if you squinted hard. I asked the transplant team to explain everything to everyone in the room. They went through the timeline. They said she had months. They said a perfect match like me was a small miracle. My parents nodded at me with that look that says, now you will do the right thing. I took Brielle's hand. I said her name. I told her I heard everything the doctors said. I told her I understood that I was the only person who could save her. And then I said I would not. I said she had taken my marriage, my home, my trust, and my family, and that the price for that was the loss of access to me forever. I told her I hoped she found another donor. I told her I would not be that person. I let go of her hand. My mother gasped. My father stood. The nurse and the doctor stared at me like I had spoken a language they did not know. My mother began to shout. She said I was cruel. She said this was old history. She said I was choosing revenge over compassion. My father told me to be reasonable. Brielle sobbed. I watched their faces and felt light. Not happy. Not triumphant. Just light. I told them that this was not revenge. This was a boundary. I told them that the only money I would ever spend on them would be for their funerals, if I felt polite at the end. I told them to never contact me again. I walked out of the room. I did not look back. Back in Minneapolis, Daniel met me at the airport with our kids on his shoulders and takeout in a warm paper bag. We went home. We ate on the floor like a picnic. I took the longest shower of my life and let the water run until the decision washed out of my muscles and left certainty behind. I slept for 12 hours and dreamed of nothing for the first time in years. People will ask if I regret it. I do not. I know what a miracle a kidney is. I also know what ignoring yourself costs. The scar I would have carried on my side would not have healed if I had given it to people who only called me when they needed to take something else. I will donate to a stranger one day if I am healthy and the list is long, and I feel led. I will not patch a hole in the same ship that tried to sink me. A funny thing happens when you stop chasing love where it does not live. Your real life gets bigger. I am loved in 1,000 small ways every day. Daniel warms up the car when it snows. His mother sends soup when someone sneezes. Our son leaves drawings on my desk. Our daughter falls asleep on my chest with her fist curled around my shirt like a promise. I am a part of a family that does not ask me to disappear to belong. If you are watching this and your heart is pounding because parts of my story sound like yours, let me say this as clearly as I can. You are allowed to leave. You are allowed to say no. You are allowed to go no contact with people who use the word family like a net and a whip. You are allowed to choose a life where the loudest things are laughter, and the clink of dishes in a sink, and the words "I was wrong, I am sorry" from people who mean it. You are allowed to protect your body and your mind, and your future. I used to think closure was a conversation you had with the person who hurt you. Now I think closure is a door you close yourself, click tight, and then walk down a hallway drenched in morning light to a kitchen, where someone you trust is pouring coffee and asking whether you want the first cup. I do. I always want the first cup now. That is my story. He cheated with my sister. I divorced him. I cut off my toxic family. Years later, they wanted my help, and I chose myself. If you needed a sign, let this be it. You are the only person who has to live inside your body for the rest of your life. Treat that home with respect. Keep your door locked to those who smash it. Invite in the ones who knock and wait and smile when you open it. And if an invitation ever arrives in your mailbox asking you to stand as a bridesmaid at the wedding that grew out of your heartbreak, mail it back blank and go for a walk instead. There is a whole world that has nothing to do with the people who tried to write your ending. Go outside and start a new chapter. It is quieter out here. It is brighter. It is yours.